So I figured I'd just run through like a really brief overview of our department and some of the things, Karen and her team have already touched on. But our mission at the department is really to support the development of Utah's ag and food industries. We are a regulatory agency and need to make sure that, the food that's going out in the world is healthy and that there's good stewardship of the land happening. But our heart's really in helping food businesses thrive. Um, we have a number of divisions throughout the department. You can see those here or on our website, ag.utah.gov.
Caroline, you haven't shared your screen yet.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I've been cruising through this presentation. How humbling years into online. Can you see that okay now?
I just see your PowerPoint. It looks good.
Okay, thanks. I'm all bashful now from that faux pas. So here's our department's mission. We support ag and food businesses. You can find information about all of our divisions on our website. We have upwards of like 60 programs at the department. So there's a lot more that we're responsible for than I think the average person does. But we have a number of programs that exist just to support food and ag businesses, even though we might be more well known as a regulatory body. The main focus of our presentation today will be on programs in the Marketing and Economic Development Division. I'm the director of that division, and then Emily Ashby, who I'm excited to introduce you to, she is our Utah Zone program manager who started last fall. So we have a handful of market development programs. You might be familiar with Utah Zone already. That program exists to connect consumers to local ag and food products. We have a new agritourism program that started last year. We don't do a ton with international trade, but we do have some great export resources available if that's something that you're interested in, and also a farm to school program and a handful of grant programs. So our main focus, we promote local ag products. We try to get consumers to shop local and support small farms. It's CSA week. We've been doing a number of promotions about that. We support the growth of Utah ag and food industries, and we work on increasing market access for producers. And we do that through the programs that I mentioned a moment ago. I really enjoy working with our partners at the Southwest Regional Food Business Center. You can see that in the bottom left of the slide. Utah's Own has had a ton of growth over the last few years. 4 years ago, I think we only had about 80 members, and now we're up to 350, and all of those are based right here in Utah. We've been working on increasing the value for membership. Emily has a lot of exciting ideas, and she's going to talk in more detail about that. Last year, we had, for the second year, our partnership with Mill Creek City and did the Utah Zone holiday shops at Mill Creek Commons. So that was a holiday pop-up market where we had about 45 local companies come and sell products. They didn't need to be on site. It was a really cool opportunity. We also did an overhaul of our utahsown.org website, so it's never been easier to find local products in the community. And we're also hosting more educational workshops and networking events. I think Emily has one planned on marketing for next month. Farm to School is an interagency partnership with the State Board of Education. So with this grant funding, this has been the first time we've had a full-time dedicated Farm to School employee at UDAF. She's been with us about a year and a half now. Their main focus is on local procurement, getting more local food into schools, increasing school gardens, and education. They do a few events. I think a lot of people might think you have to be a very large scale to get into those institutional markets. But there are ways to engage, even if it's just one day a year. They have a really cool event called Apple Crunch Day where they invite a whole bunch of kindergartners up to the Capitol. But the main goal is really to encourage schools. Like, if you can't buy local apples year round, can you do it for a month? Can you do it for a week? Can you do it for a day? Just to start building those connections. I want to say it was about $200,000 in local apples were bought this year with Farm to School. So they've been doing some really incredible work. One way to get engaged with Farm to School, if you're just like at the precipice of involvement, is their peer learning groups. These only meet twice a year, so there's not a huge time commitment, but they have 12 different themes. Once this presentation goes out, this link will be available, or you can visit utahfarmtofork.org. The peer learning groups that would be most relevant for this group, there's one specific just for farmers and food producers, and also families and students and school gardens. They've really been working on trying to build a movement of farm to school support and getting communities engaged. So I'm really excited about the work that Natalie McHale on our team is the farm to school specialist that she and Danny at the State Board of Education have been doing. We also started the Utah Agritourism Program last year. This was in response to HB, I can't remember the number of it right now, a bill that was signed last year to where we were going to create a directory. So we've tried to expand this program beyond just a directory. Similar to Utah's Own, you can find a listing of all of the agritourism operations who've signed up with us. This one is completely free to join, and agritourism is pretty broad. Like you might be doing agritourism without even realizing it. So if you do any kind of U-Pick or like a U-Cut floral farm, if you host any kind of workshops or classes, if you have a farm store, if you offer an Airbnb on your farm, baby animal days, fall festivals, farm tours, we would love to have you on our registry. We've also been partnering with the Utah Office of Tourism. They've been incredibly supportive of agritourism, and they're hosting a really exciting, kind of like a mini conference later this summer. That'll be held August 11th through 12th at SUU in Cedar City. Right now, just today, they opened a survey accepting input to figure out the keynote speakers and what's going to be on the agenda. But they've been a great partner in this, and I think that'll be a really fun event for anyone looking to learn more or see how they might be able to add an element of agritourism to their operation. Something we often share, like when talking with people who are maybe more in traditional ag or like legislators when we're up on the Hill, is that for a lot of farms, they might look at agritourism and think it's just a pumpkin patch or just a seasonal offering. But for a lot of even multi-generational farms that we work with, adding even a single element of agritourism allows them to diversify their revenue and stay in operation and with traditional agricultural production. One thing that I was really excited about today is to share just a general overview about Grants 101 and how to set yourself up for success. We get a ton of emails from people looking for information about grants, but more and more, it's exciting that people are reaching out to us and we love helping people, but often it seems like people might not understand what grants are and what they're not for. There's a perception that grants are free money or no strings attached. And while sometimes it can feel that way, if you're really lucky, grants are intended to accomplish a specific purpose. A lot of the emails we've been getting have been from people who are looking more for like startup funding. So you really need to look at what is this grant trying to accomplish and what are my needs as a business and how are they aligned? So that'll be really helpful. And also, you need to have a strong business plan. A grant isn't a reliable source of income. They can be great at supplementing and helping you add on new projects or expand, but just something to be aware of. We have some great small business development center offices who can help, as well as those technical assistance providers that Karen and Kaylin discussed. Kaylin spoke, in great detail about getting a UEI, that unique entity identifier number. But I cannot encourage you enough that if you're even just considering getting federal funding someday, try to apply for that now because it can take weeks. And, sometimes something as small as a space, like there was a business we were working with that their business name was 2 words, but in the federal system, it accidentally got typed in as 1. It caused like a 2-month delay and they nearly missed out on some grant funding. So just start in advance so you have that in your pocket whenever you need it. Another tip is timelines. Some grants are one-time only, but others are cyclical. So if you have a good pulse on what grant is on the horizon, you can kind of keep an eye out for them or at least start sketching ideas for a plan. And, even if a grant doesn't come up for funding again, once you have that idea in your pocket, it at least gives you something to work with so you're not starting from scratch. And then understanding reporting requirements. If you're able to be awarded grant funding, there are going to be requirements that come with that. They'll vary grant to grant, but just the more communicative you can be, the better. And if you have any questions, people are always happy to help. It can be a really intimidating process, but just encourage you to build contacts. Then I just have a note at the bottom that we're currently seeking grant reviewers for that Business Builder Award, and to email Kaylin if you're interested. Becoming a grant reviewer can be a really great opportunity to see like the back end of the process. So it's kind of fun, especially if you're into nerdier stuff. A few of the grants in our division, the Resilient Food Systems Infrastructure Grant, a couple of years ago, we received $3.2 million in funding. Last year, we awarded $2.3 million of that. The purpose of this grant was to build resilience in the middle of the food supply chain. So similar with the Business Builder Award, those post-harvest activities. This one unfortunately excluded meat and poultry products, but it was a great help to a lot of fruit and vegetable producers and dairy and other things. Like being able to put that much money out into the world focused on helping our food supply chain was a really incredible experience. I think a lot of people are aware that, we've been rapidly losing farmland. We don't produce enough to sustain our population. Then often what we do produce ends up going out of state for processing. So it was really cool helping a lot of even very small scale businesses with this funding. We anticipate that another round of funding, unfortunately not nearly as big, closer to 90,000, will open in July. We don't have a date locked in on that, but if you sign up for our newsletter, you'll be the first to know. We also have a specialty crop block grant. This is to enhance the competitiveness of Utah's specialty crop industry. That includes fruits, vegetables, tree nuts, and floriculture products. Utah typically receives around $330,000 for this. Something to note is it is intended to help the industry as a whole rather than individual businesses. So keep that in mind as you're writing a proposal. Allison Ross on my team administers this grant and is great to connect with if you have any questions. Typically it opens about this time. We haven't heard from USDA how much funding we'll have this year. Historically, it's always been right around that, like $330,000 to $350,000 mark. And then we will be accepting public comments soon on how we should distribute that funding. It can be on things like marketing or research or produce safety. So we encourage you, if you have any feedback, please let us know. One grant that I've really loved being a part of is our Utah Food Security Processing Grant. This one is similar to RFSI, but it's state funded, and all products that are locally produced are allowable as long as they're intended for human consumption. So again, trying to address those needs for local processing, storage, and distribution. The last 3 years, we've received $1 million each year for this program, and we've been able to award 59 grants across the state. This funding is currently under consideration of the state legislature, so fingers crossed. We'd be really excited to continue it. And then you heard in depth about the Southwest Regional Food Business Center, but it's been a really exciting program to hear about and be part of. There are so many great resources on their website, even beyond the Business Builder Award funding. So really encourage you to check that out. It's just swfoodbiz.org. They have a great events page, great resources page. If you're looking for grant funding, that resources link has a lot of grants that I don't see people talk about as much. And then other grants throughout UDAF. Right now, the Agricultural Water Optimization Grant is open. It also ends soon. The last couple of rounds, it has required a pre-consultation with the Division of Water Rights, but I hear those have been pretty quick to work through. And they have so much funding. They'll definitely be opening future rounds, so please keep an eye out. But the purpose of that grant is to increase the efficiency of water projects. So it could be converting from, maybe an open canal to a piped canal, or a more efficient spray system. Ag VIP is the Agricultural Voluntary Incentives Program. That one is more about nutrient management. But that one will be opening in about a month, and they have some exciting additions about increasing things like soil health practices and other regenerative practices. Historically, a lot of these conservation grants have been more tailored to larger scale agriculture, but our Jim Bocat, the director over there, and his team, they've been really incredible, and they're finding ways to tweak these programs to be more applicable to smaller scale farms. The Utah Pollinator Habitat Program is another one that's opening soon. This one has gotten so much public positive feedback. They distribute native plant kits and native pollinator seeds to establish more pollinator habitat throughout the state. So if that's something you're interested in, please keep an eye out. That'll be opening really soon. Then you can also find all of these grants on our website, ag.utah.gov/grants, and you can find a sign up for our newsletter at the top. That newsletter only goes out once to twice a month, so we don't spam your inbox, but that's the best way to stay up to date. We also have a great social media manager. She is also the one who runs our agritourism program. So if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, that's really the best way to stay up to date. We post about every single thing that I mentioned today. So between that and the newsletter, those are really great ways to stay in the loop. And then I'm excited to pass the time over to Emily with Utah's Own, but if anyone has any questions about things that I've mentioned so far, happy to answer any.
Thank you, Caroline. Just one quick thing. In the chat, can you put some of that, like how to contact or some of those links that you had inside your presentation so that they can
Absolutely.
have those? And then we will turn it over to Emily.
Thank you.
No questions?
And then Emily, unfortunately, is also recovering from a cold, so we might have to like tag in and out as her voice allows.
Yeah, sorry everybody, you get my scraggly voice. Hi, my name's Emily Ashby, and Caroline's a little taller than me, so I might move this down a little bit if that's okay, Caroline. I'm the program manager of Utah Zone, and which is a program run through the Department of Agriculture to support and promote Utah's agriculture, food, and Utah source businesses. Utah Zone has been in existence since 2002. We are one of 40 state-branded programs across the United States. So some of you that may be from surrounding states may recognize Colorado Proud or Idaho Preferred or Wyoming Table. And all of these programs really are just to promote the local food and ag industries throughout the states. So some of you may recognize some of I kind of threw up some of our bigger members: Creamies, Lehigh Mills, Gosner, Heber Valley, and then Aggie Creamery and Chocolate Factory actually are both members of Utah Zone. And these are kind of bigger members, but we also, like Caroline mentioned, really do have a really great base of businesses that are either in the startup process or kind of in that middle range, just in the growth phase. And they could be ag businesses, farms, ranches, and that's kind of originally where the program kind of started, but then it has expanded to food as well. So some of the benefits of being a Utah Zone member are that you get a personalized profile page on our online directory. And I started last fall, and I would say this is probably one of the biggest benefits that members have told me have helped them, because we get nearly 500,000 hits annually, which averages about 41,000 hits per month. So people are looking for local, and because of our high SEO and our attachment to the UDAF website, when people look up, when they're searching for local, that will come up. So especially if you have a niche or a business that may be a little bit different and you're listed in our directory, you're very likely to be found. Something that happens probably weekly is we'll get emails of people looking for, businesses looking for how they can incorporate local farm and food business products into their stores, or they have events that are coming up and they go to the UDAF website and are looking for opportunities to be able to include local businesses and products into their just into their events or whatever they're doing. And so that's really fun to be able to send those people looking for local, especially government organizations. A lot of times they just go to UDAF and they're looking for people to sponsor lunches, or not. I mean, they could be sponsor lunches, but they're looking to, they want to stay local, so they want to purchase treats for people that come to the state, or just maybe corporate events or different things like that. So having that personalized online page is really helpful. We also do a lot of public awareness. So you get the chance to utilize the Utah Zone logo and put that on packaging, websites, and storefronts. And then you can also use it on your website, social media, to really stand out. And I've got some great feedback from especially farmers who say, when we're competing against out-of-state vendors, this is one way that we can really showcase that we are local. So that's another benefit. We also do shout outs on our email and newsletters, our email newsletters and our social media, which right now we have over 22,000 followers on Instagram and about 3,500 newsletter followers. So the reach is actually pretty good and our open rates are pretty high, relatively speaking. So we do get the word out that way about our members. We also have retail events, like Caroline mentioned. We had our own Utah Zone holiday shops at Mill Creek Common. That was a great resource for our members. Associated Foods gives us 12 vendor booths each year, which we are able to achieve members for. We'll have our first Utah Zone market coming up this spring that members will have a chance to participate in as well. And then in addition, we support businesses with training and networking opportunities. Caroline mentioned one next month. My business is or my background is in small business and marketing. And so having had taught business classes before at various locations throughout the Valley and higher ed and at the Small Business Development Center, I've kind of created a lunch and learn that will be presented next week. For those of you that might have participated in that, the R6 conference or lunch and learn about a month ago, that's going to be the same presentation, which we got really great feedback on. So I'm excited to share that with you, or I guess with Utah Zone members, which potentially could be you, hopefully. So to become a Utah Zone member, you need to be headquartered or incorporated in Utah, have an active business license, and do one or more of the following: either grow, raise, produce, prepare, manufacture food in Utah, produce a dietary supplement, manufacture a body care product, or produce products from Utah source agriculture ingredients like wool to make socks. So that's kind of the general overview of Utah Zone. If you want to grab your phone, their QR codes should work on your screen, and you can shop, of course, Utah Zone, join our newsletter, or become a member. And I would say joining our newsletter is a really great way to be able to stay in touch with what we're doing, see opportunities, kind of see what other like-minded businesses are doing that may be in the same space that you're in. So yeah, look at me. I whipped right through that and I didn't even really cough. So congratulations, everyone at the meeting. Are there any questions for Caroline or I about our programs or UDAF that people might have?
Yeah, and everybody, please go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A, and we'll get to them. But we have one. Is there an opportunity for sustaining members with Utah Zone, meaning members who do not traditionally qualify but want to see Utah Zone succeed and take part at a sustaining level? So how can, I guess, they be cheerleaders or, friends of Utah Zone?
Love that. Sponsorships and partnerships are something that Carol and I are working on. So that would be a great opportunity to become a partner or a sponsor that way. And then, of course, and we have up on the screen right now our handle for Utah Zone on social media. A great way that we can really get the word out is through people that are big fans of buying local, shopping local. So that's you. And so if you want to, as you see things that are interesting or that you'd like to like or share, any engagement on social then increases our reach that way. So that's kind of low hanging fruit. But yeah, that's a great question. We appreciate that so much. It really does make an impact. Everyone really does make an impact when we're all kind of in the same direction of really shopping small, shopping local, and supporting that. Like we've talked
So
about.
there was a lot of different programs, and I think that I feel like I should be aware of a lot of these funding programs, but Caroline and Emily brought up some that even I, kind of forget that exist or don't really remember them. Caroline, I think you said one of the best ways to kind of keep up to date with UDAF programs and things is to sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah.
Since we have a few minutes, do you mind even like going onto the website and showing people how they can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was so sure we were going to go over last time.
You're welcome, everybody.
And then I couldn't add things in the chat while our slides were up, but I've got a whole bullet list that
Yeah,
I'll
so
throw up.
one also question that kind of came in is while you're kind of searching for that, and this is probably an Emily question, but I need to modify their profile. I think probably their Utah Zone profile. How do they do that?
To modify the profile, if you email Utah's own at utah.gov, that goes to our whole team. And then we'll just take care of any adjustments you need. So just let us know what needs to be changed. And then
I'm going to pop it back, Caroline. And I'm going to say too, I would highly recommend that. And then as you're creating your profiles, be sure to incorporate good keywords and search terms. So that as people are searching, those terms will come up. And that's one thing that we're really trying to do is get all of our members to have their profiles be updated with current pictures. And detailed information, locations, all of that, because that really does those hits were actually, I knew we got a lot, but it was definitely more when Caroline showed those numbers, what we actually do get. And right now in some of our categories, we don't have a lot of members. Like right now, I think we only have 5 CSAs listed. Not that there are more than 5 CSA in the States, but those are the only ones that are members. So we just send out a newsletter, and then we'll get emails back from people looking that have CSAs, like, how can I be a part of this? And they miss the chance to go out to all of that, get all that marketing in for their businesses. So anyway, not to
And then, Emily,
peep in, but
what are the so you talked about the requirements to be a Utah Zone member. What is the cost for that?
oh, that's a great question. So it's $75 to become a member, and then $60 to renew membership.
Okay.
And then those fees, we are anticipating those to increase on July 1st to just a flat $100 annually for everyone. And we are increasing a lot of our services with the program, but really encourage you, if you'd like to join, now's a great time before that does increase. And then on the screen to get to the UDAF, these are 2 separate newsletters we're talking about. The UDAF newsletter, if you go to ag.utah.gov, there's a little newsletter button up in the top right. Click that and sign up, and then you'll be added to the list. And you can also find links to all of our past newsletters as well. Can you see the screen, Ruby?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. So that's one of the easiest ways to stay up to date. And then also you can find all of our social links down at the bottom. And then the Utah's own newsletter that Emily was talking about, that one's really great for finding new local products. Like the one that just went out today was all about CSAs. So you can find all the CSA subscriptions across the state, or they did a great local candy for Valentine's list. But you can find that one at utahzone.org. And then you can also find a directory of all the farmers markets across the state. If you go to the Find Local overview, that's how you can search for all of these great farms and food businesses. But there are a lot of great resources there.
Perfect. So, and then also, I think sometimes people say, well, what size of farm or how, you know what I mean, or food business or anything, when should I kind of get involved with Utah Zone, or when should I, start signing up for the newsletter? What is your...
No, I think in the past it was more tailored to those like medium, large size businesses, but we've really tried to embrace even, the HB 181 and the cottage foods level businesses. There's some, everyone wants to be discovered, and we want to connect consumers to local businesses of all sizes. So I think it's never too early to join. We have a variety of benefits, and some are more tailored towards beginning entrepreneurs, like those marketing 101 classes or business management type workshops and networking. And whereas things like the Associated Foods Trade Show, those are more for businesses of the scale to be in warehouses and have distribution throughout the state. But we try to have a variety of benefits. That way there's something for, we have businesses who've been around for 110 years, and we have businesses who just got their business license last week.